tracing her fingers lightly over the etchings on her bracelet, as if she were reading Braille, a skill she'd only mastered out of necessity after Rella was born. They weren't sure Rella would ever have clear vision, but she'd been showing progress. One of the etchings on the bracelet, a quill pen, was the official insignia of the Storykeepers Alliance. The other etchings on the outside of the bracelet resembled letters of an ancient alphabet. Winter thought they might be the same letters in two languages, like the letters on a Rosetta Stone. Ensea had forbidden the use of electricity at this time of night. It was not an option. Winter knew that. Flipping a switch, though, would have instantly triggered the surveillance drones, and she couldn't risk the safety of the innocents in the village. Julian placed the half-melted candle on the edge of a nearby desk and listened for the hum of propellers. "Do you hear something?" Winter whispered, twisting her head around to face her husband. "Nothing," Julian replied after a pause. He pointed directly at the shelf just across from the desk where he'd set the candle. "Look over there. To the right. Just up a little." As Winter turned to face the shelves, Julian lowered his hands in front of the candle flame and formed a heart by pressing his thumbs together and curling his fingers. When she saw the dim outline of the heart, Winter stopped scanning the compressed row of book spines and stood in silence. The shadow of the heart floated across the bookshelf like a sweet perfume, and she turned to face her husband once more. Couldn't you come with me?" she pleaded, misty-eyed. "You know we can't do that to Rella. She's only recently been able to see without the implants. And thank goodness they're out. We have to wait. I don't know if she even carries... you know." Julian lowered his voice and spoke quickly. "The gift." Winter looked into a darkened corner of the room where Rella was sleeping and whispered, "Or if she carries any other gifts." The couple turned back around, knelt down, and continued sorting through the pile of warped book covers and tattered manuscripts. "Should we wake her?" Julian asked. "Maybe Rella..." "Found it!" Winter said, smiling nervously as she picked up the hand-stitched notebook with the red cover. Julian stood up and picked up the candle and waited for Winter to speak. As Winter slipped her red notebook into her bag, the quill pen insignia on her bracelet started to flicker. The blinking patterns were a signal from the other members of the Storykeepers Alliance. They were now waiting outside. "Do you want me to wake Rella?" Julian asked again. The bracelet blinked even faster, creating a strobe effect, like a security alarm throughout the room. "I can't do it," Winter said, clutching and unclutching the strap on the satchel with her red notebook inside. "You take it." "I can't," Julian replied. "The Alliance has called on you." If her fears were true and the dream bridge had been breached, every child on Earth 1, from East Con to West Con, was at risk of losing access to the dream worlds. And once the dream worlds were lost, the children would eventually lose their ability to play, to make believe, to tell stories, or to think up anything original at all. They would become nothing better than copycats, or worse, plagiarists. But it can't be true, Winter thought as she glanced over at Rella, still sound asleep. Why now? Winter feared that she would miss a lot more than Rella's 5th or 6th birthdays. Julian placed his hand gently on his wife's shoulder and stared directly into her eyes. "You have to do this," he said. "Could we really let Rella, or any child, grow up in a world without stories? Without imagination?" Winter looked over at her daughter one more time. She was taking slow, even breaths, a sure sign that she was happily lost in a dream. "I know," Winter said softly. "I know." Julian glanced down again at the blinking bracelet and then at the shelves. "Promised you won't let her forget me?" Winter said as the blinking light illuminated a small stream of teardrops rushing over her cheeks. "Promise you won't let her forget me," she said again, reaching for her husband's hand. "I promise," Julian replied, taking her hand and looking back into her eyes. "And if you aren't back before too long, I'm coming after you. I'll search every world